Hello. Okay, I'm going to be baking some cheese biscuits. So I have my ingredients here. So this is a pretty simple recipe. It's kind of like a tea biscuit. Just looking for a good sized bowl for me to mix in. Probably should have gotten down earlier, but okay. I think that'll be fine. I can see the chat, so if you want to say anything or ask any questions, feel free to type in the chat. That was my cat, who will probably be interrupting a lot today and tomorrow. She is right now investigating my pantry, which is over that way. Okay. You gotta get over there. Yeah, come on. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to start this off here. Some measuring cups. 1 cup. Teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon, and 1/3 cup. Where's my 1/3 cup? It's missing. Flour. I've got too many things into the kitchen here. I'll figure it out. You fine. Okay. So I'm starting with 1 cup of flour. Just for me, so I'm not going to make a bigger batch, but you can always double or triple or whatever you need to do. then 2 teaspoons of baking powder, which I keep in a jar. That's 2. And then a 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar. I mostly use this actually for when I make snickerdoodles, but works for these too. 1/4 teaspoon. That's that. And then I need a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, I don't need the big container then. I need a little one. Teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to do the butter, cheese, and milk. So I'm going to put that aside. Don't need this anymore. So milk. It's easy. To measure this. Back away. Butter. Butter. Okay, good. There are lines on here, so I will do that. I always seem to accidentally rip these packages. Okay, so it's a 1/4 cup of cold butter, so you don't have to soften it. If you like watching cooking videos, I also do some stuff on my personal TikTok. And I am Emily.Gonzalez on there. Make sure you have the dot or you're going to get to a different person. But I mostly post recipes on there. Okay. So it says to cube the butter, but we're also going to be mixing with 2 knives for the nature of this recipe. So I'm just going to kind of slice it roughly in the bowl because that's easier. Okay. All right. I need the cheese and the milk, and I'm going to preheat my oven. Take this out because I forgot it in there. 400 degrees. It says a cup of cheese. So they recommend cheddar from the original recipe. You can use whatever you want. I have this nacho cheese blend on hand, so I'm just going to do that. This is also why you don't want to add a lot of salt to this recipe, because there's a lot of salt in your cheese already. And the milk. So this is really weird. This measurement is really strange. So it says a third cup and 2 tablespoons of milk. So I'm going to measure my third out. Oh, I got too much. So that's my third. And then it was 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to do this. Okay. That's that. Okay. And then, so this is how it's kind of looking, because I haven't mixed anything yet. And then you want to kind of cut it all together with 2 knives until it resembles coarse crumbs. So you might need to cut the butter a little more as you go. That's why you're using knives. So later today, we are going to have a live stream interview with the Canadian cast members of Sailor Moon. So we have Barbara Radecki, who was Sailor Neptune. We have John Stalker, who was Grandpa Hino, and various ancillary characters, as well as the third voice director. And we have Tony Daniels, who was the voice of Jadeite and Wise Man. And we have Tracy Moore, who was the original voice of Sailor Moon in the English-Canadian dub. And she was also the original casting director and voice director. So I think it'll be very interesting. If you do have questions, you can email them still until 12 p.m. After that, I won't be checking my emails. So you can send those to questions@prettyheroes.com for the interview today and for the interviews tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a group interview with some of the Viz Media cast members of the Sailor Moon English dub there. So we have Robbie Damon, who will be a guest at our next in-person event as well. And we have Sandy Fox, who we actually had as a guest in person last summer. Not this year, but last year. And we have Amanda Miller, who we had in 2018 as a guest in person, as well as Lauren Landa, who we also had at the same time, and Jeremy Lay, who is new for us. So we haven't had Jeremy as a guest yet, but we'll work on see if we can do that in the future as well, of course. All right. So I've got some lumpy crumbs here because I added my milk actually apparently before, but it'll be fine. You're supposed to do the crumbs and then add the milk, and I didn't read ahead. So anyway, this is what my mixture is looking like right now. So I'm going to wash my hands. Pan. All right, so I've got my baking sheet with a silicone mat. Okay. So it says to place on a floured surface and knead 8 to 10 times until smooth. I don't want to put it on a surface, I just want to knead it in here. So I'm going to spray this. Just to try to discourage it from sticking. Shouldn't stick too much with silicone mat anyway, but anyhow. Okay, so I'm going to just knead this in the bowl because I find that way easier than putting it on the surface. I don't think I need any extra flour because there's still plenty in the bowl that's not totally mixed in. Almost there. Now I have a nice lump and pieces jumping to the laptop. That's not the intention. Baking is sometimes not what you expect. I'm trying to pick up the last little bits that are stuck in the bowl here. So I think I'm going to have to use these knives to scrape off those little pieces. Still dough, so why not? That means my oven's preheated. Okay. So you can see it's not very big. So this is what the single batch does. It's pretty small. Usually if I have another person that I'm sharing with, I'll do at least a double batch. And then when you have it all kneaded up together like this, you can divide it into portions. So they suggest squares, but you don't have to do squares. You can do whatever you want. Usually what I do is I just make it a round shape and then I just slice it like a pizza. I find that's really easy. It's just so you have an easier time to pull it apart when it's done baking. So that's why you would separate it now rather than cooking as one unified form and then cutting afterwards. I am making cheese biscuits. What are you doing, Cleo? Okay. So I have that as a shape. I'm going to wash my hands. So I've just made it a round shape and I'm just going to slice it because I find that the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to do that over here. I don't know why my cat is crying, by the way. She just does that. She has water, she has food. Her litter box is fine. There's nothing wrong. What? Maybe she wants to go for a walk in the hallway, which we're not really supposed to do, but she likes to do that. All right. So I sliced it up and I separated the slices a bit so that it'll be easier to pull apart. And then this goes into the oven. Oh, 400 is supposed to be 450. Oh, I adjusted it. That's why. 400 for 12 minutes. So I'm going to do that. Hey, Google, set timer for 12 minutes.
Sure, 12 minutes. Starting.
Sorry if I set off anyone's device at home. I normally use Google as my timer here. I just find it easier. Put away some of this stuff. All right, so that's going to take a little bit to cook. So if you guys have any questions about Pretty Heroes or what we have planned for this weekend, feel free to ask in the chat. I am checking on it. So if you're not familiar with the event, normally we happen in the summer. Our first year we actually happened in late September because it was difficult to try to pull it all together really quickly and have it in August. But ever since then, we've been in the summer, typically June or July, and now we stick with July. I do prefer July for our dates. And I'm really sorry that my cat keeps interrupting. She's super distracting. Cleo. Okay, this is Cleo. She is a rescue. She's about 10 years old. She likes to cry for attention, but then she doesn't actually like being held very much. So I think that she is a Bengal Siamese mix. But she's a whiny thing. She's got a mood. Just drinking cranberry juice here, if you're wondering. Nothing too weird. And I am also going to make some eggs, I think, to go with the biscuits. So I'll wipe this down. Um, so normally we're in July, and we are now a 2-day event. We originally started as the Toronto Sailor Moon celebration as a 1-day event back in 2015. And then in 2018 was when because I'm the owner, decided to make it a 2-day event. And I decided to rebrand under the name of Pretty Heroes. And I chose Pretty Heroes because I wanted to still have a name that tied back to our roots as a Sailor Moon convention. So Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, Pretty Heroes. But I also wanted it to be more broad in that it can encompass more than just magical girls. So I wanted to be able to have, although there are a lot of magical girls, I wanted to be able to have something that could expand to include as many different kinds of strong female characters as people were interested in seeing as part of the convention and what we celebrate. Oh, I didn't even realize that this lid is right on screen, kind of getting in the way. Okay. So yeah, so it's been a journey. Um, in some ways, changing from a 1-day to a 2-day event has been almost starting over. Certain things are a little different logistically. With that, obviously, a lot of costs are doubled. It's 2 days instead of one. And we couldn't stay at the Science Center anymore because they couldn't give us space in July. That's why we left. Although we did enjoy being there. And I have been hoping that we could have been there at least one more year before we moved on to the JCCC. But it all kind of worked out, and the JCCC is a really beautiful venue. I think it gives you a lot of options for casual pictures and stuff like that. And there's nice spaces outside as well for pictures, which I fully encourage you going outside and taking pictures in the garden. And even the patio has like a little bench with some greenery around it and over top. And that looks really nice too. So I do encourage people taking pictures outside. I don't really like people taking pictures, like in the hall where it might interrupt traffic flow of things, because that can become a safety issue, and I kind of have to think about that. But yeah, so we try to have a variety of things. I've been going to conventions since the early 2000s, including Anime North and Fan Expo, and back when it was called CN Anime. They don't use that name anymore. And I've gone to Unplugged Expo and Anime Shigatsu and Cosplay Matsuri. What else? There was the GTA Collectibles Expo a few years ago in Toronto as well. And actually, the organizer of that I went to college with, and we both studied graphic design at George Brown. So that was kind of funny that we both ended up in kind of the convention space. I don't think he runs that show anymore, but he does have a store. Now I'm blanking on the name because, of course I am. It's morning. I'm sorry. That was my phone. I forgot to mute. There. Now it's muted. I think it's Game Swap. Yeah, it's Game Swap. So they have a location on Ellesmere Road in Scarborough. And I actually live in Scarborough. So it's not very far from where I live. It's near where I work, actually. And they've got a variety of games, like video games, and they have like game systems, and they even actually have manga graphic novels. So they have a wide variety of things. So if you're into nerdy stuff, which you probably are if you're here, you might like his store. Um, not a paid promotion. Just I've been there and I thought it was interesting. Um, and yeah, so I've gone to a few different things in Toronto over the years. A lot of events happen every year, and I'll tend to go back. Um, I became friends with Jasmine, who ran the Kauai events as well. She no longer does those, but she did Kauai Cafe, and then it was Kauai World, I think, something like that. The next year, she was changing the name just slightly, and I have attended as media the SacaraCon convention over in Seattle, Washington, in the States. Um, but I don't usually go to American conventions. I did go to Fan World a couple of times, but it's not something I would really make a long trip for. Just didn't really have much benefit for me to go promoting, just because a lot of people down in Niagara aren't super keen on driving up to Toronto. So it wasn't really the greatest fit. But I make the best of things as much as I can, right? I did do a booth one time at Con Bravo as well. That one's trickier because their dates tend to be close to ours now, since we moved to later July. But I wanted to make sure that we weren't conflicting with the Transformers convention, which usually we try to be the weekend after Transformers, and then Con Bravo is usually the weekend after us. But who knows what'll happen in future. So we'll see. We'll see. But I am still updating the Pretty Heroes website to go and say when we have more of our dealers confirmed for next year. So there's still a few people who are still thinking about it. And I update that periodically. So there are a couple that I don't have on there yet that have already confirmed. So just keep checking back and it'll get updated. And hopefully we'll be able to have an in-person event next July. There's the timer, so now we can check the biscuits. Stop. Okay. I can also put on my eggs. Let's cook a bit more. Just gonna work on my eggs. Yeah, so that's an oil sprayer. You can get it at places like Kitchen Stuff Plus. And so I put olive oil in mine because that's what I like to use the most. So this is what it looks like, kind of close up. So I take this piece off and then I can fill in the oil, and you fill it in about halfway because there's like a plunger that goes down, and then this you use to pump it. So then you have no aerosol, right? You're just getting the oil. So works out cheaper than, Pam and that kind of stuff. Seem really soft. I haven't made them in this oven before, so I'll give it a few more minutes and keep checking on it. I'm going to pull up a chair. I think I'll laptop a little bit here. So it's easier to see me when I sit down. And I'm going to decide what tea I'm going to have today. So we usually start off with Queen of Tarts, which is a blend from David's Tea. So I have this mug from David's Tea, which has a separate diffuser, which is nice. And it's clear, so you can see what color the tea is. So wait for my water to boil and the tea is. I'm going to stir all my eggs. They're going to get. So I hope you're all having a good morning this Saturday in late November, in the middle of lockdown. We're all keeping safe. Oh, we have a variety of things that are going to be streamed live this weekend, as well as some stuff that's pre-recorded that I've set to premiere at different times through this weekend as well. So it's after 11 now, so there's actually a few dances and performances that you can see that will be published now. So we have some performances from Maho Dreamers, and they are a local idol group. And we also have some performances from Altered, and they mostly have dances, and there's one singing performance, and then we also have from an international submission, we have Annie singing Moonlight Densetsu, and the other one is a song from Cardcaptor Sakura. I always look more calm than I am on the inside, I think. But I've done a lot of panels and promo tables and stuff. And I'm not sure to start this stream also not when I had like just woken up and like I'm not totally there. So because I find when I go and I do promo tables and booths in person, I get there and I'm still not fully awake. So I'll have my breakfast, I'll have my tea, and I'll just kind of vibe, chill, however you like to put it. Because nobody's there super early typically, so I get all set up and then I just chill and have my breakfast and wait for things to start picking up. And then I have lots of wonderful conversations with everybody who comes by, and I give you free stickers. Oh, I was actually going to say, I do still have a bunch of the stickers. So I have the Sailor Moon ones, and I have Every Girl Can Be a Hero ones. I am thinking of doing some Everyone Can Be a Hero ones to have something that's more inclusive as well. But I don't have those made yet. But if you want any of the ones that are currently made, then you can email me your mailing address and I will send it to you because I have lots of stamps. And I'm happy to spread a little joy. And if you would like a Christmas card or other holiday card, you can. I have generic ones as well as different ones. I think I have some Hanukkah ones, and I'm not really sure why. I inherited these cards from my aunt, basically. When we helped her move a few years ago to a retirement home, we had to clear out a lot of stuff in her house, and there were way too many cards because many years ago she had actually worked at Carlton Cards, so she has an obscene number of cards. So I have lots and lots of Christmas cards. Some of them are generic, some of them are kind of religious. Some don't even say Christmas on them. They just say like happy holidays or season's greetings, whichever. So if you would like a holiday card, you can let me know if there's a particular type you would like, and I'd be happy to mail that to you as well. So you can just email me. All of the email that goes to info@prettyheroes.com does come to me. So if you would like a card or a sticker or both, you can send me your address and I will mail one off to you, or all three, whichever you like. just to spread a little bit of cheer in, this isolating time. My tea. So this is Queen of Tarts. Looks backwards to me, so I'm guessing it's backwards to you guys. Not sponsored, but I really like this tea. A few years ago, I was having health issues where I was really exhausted all the time. And then my sister suggested that I look for a tea with guayusa in it. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm not totally sure. And then I came across this one from David's Tea. So they do actually have like a plain guayusa tea as well, but this one is a blend. So if you want to see what it looks like, it's a little hard to show. So this one has hibiscus, guayusa, marigold petals, stevia extract, and blackberry flavoring. Kind of tangy, so that's why they call it Queen of Tarts. I find it pretty energizing. So let's see if I push this back here. Okay, this mug is a little thin, so it's a little tricky. You can see. All right. There. Check on the biscuits again. Hopefully they're done now. Yes. Partially browned. Still squishy in the middle though, so I might need to cook them a little longer. Where are my toothpicks? That should probably help. Just let those cool and firm up a bit before I try eating any. See that my tea is getting more intense. So the hibiscus gives it that red color. So people see the red tea and they're like, what is that? And it's a hibiscus tea. I have done multiple tests for streaming. This is the first time I'm doing like the live webcam stream. I don't usually stream a lot, to be honest. On my personal channel, I stream a little bit of me playing video games, mostly Uncharted. So I've gone through 1 and 2, and I think I'm on the 3rd one now. I don't remember. It's been a little while. I think that's where I am. I think I'm near the beginning of the 3rd one, which I'm replaying. And then I stream that to my personal YouTube channel. But I don't have the PlayStation camera, so you can't see me. You can only hear me. Unless I accidentally mute myself, which I did the last time for a few minutes because I got a new headset and I wasn't used to it yet. But I did do all our testing for our interview type streams, so don't worry, they're all going to be good. And I'll actually be doing those on my desktop, and then I will be good with those. I have them all set up perfectly. I did another test last night to make sure that I had all my settings correct on my computer, and I just left it. So I'm not touching anything over there now. But it took a little bit of work because last weekend we did the first test, and I'm having the guests call in through Skype to me, and then I'm streaming them on Skype and then my webcam for myself. And we were having problems with getting the audio from Skype to come over into OBS, which is what I'm using for the stream later. And so that took some configuring, especially since I have a Mac and there's not there's not a lot of help for Macs sometimes. But I have a Mac because I'm a graphic designer and I find it better for my workflow personally. So that's why I own one at home. I don't for work. For my day job, I actually I use a Windows laptop, which is fine. I'm okay going back and forth. But when I have, like my personal choice, I just find that I've had a little bit of smoother experience with the Mac OS. But maybe that's just because a long time ago, like my first design job out of college, I had a Windows laptop, and I think at the time it was, I think it was Vista. So this was 2007. And even though I had like admin privileges on the computer, like it would constantly be asking me questions, and I just got really, really frustrated with it. So it kind of ruined things for me. I have not seen any other version of Windows be so paranoid. Even what I have now on my work computer is Windows 10. So, and it doesn't really ask me that many questions because it's for a company that I work for. It's there are certain security settings on it. But it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind it. I mean, all the Adobe software works, and that's the main thing that I use. So for work, I use a lot of InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator. I've done a little bit of XD, although I'm not super keen on it. And I use Dreamweaver here and there because I do maintain the website for my employer. And I have been learning Premiere and After Effects. So I make videos at work a little bit. Nothing too crazy because I'm still pretty new at it. But I do okay. I do all right with it. I actually have a project at work now where I'm filming the robots that we make. So the company I work for is called Pipetel, and we inspect pipelines. And so we have these robots that go into pipelines to check for corrosion and dents and leaks and different things. And so I'm currently filming how that happens, and we have like little test areas at work. I don't know if we'll have any of the footage become public later. Right now, we're planning to have it available to like select people. So, but it's interesting for me because I'm seeing the robots in action, and I don't usually get to see that. I usually just see pictures. But so I've been enjoying that. But of course, it'll be a tedious process when I have to actually go and edit everything together. And then we're going to have like a voiceover on it as well. see how that goes. I think it'll be interesting. Um, I've been using Adobe software for a long time, and although I don't entirely like their business model, I really, really, really dislike the subscription model. Um, uh, it's a lot easier for me to use their software. It all coordinates with each other really well. Um, I mean, back when I was in college, I did learn Quark Express, not InDesign. InDesign was something I had to teach myself. It was easy for me to pick up because I'd already used Quark Express. Quark Express is still around for the diehards who really want to use it, but I think it's a bit pricey too. And I think they have a subscription model now too. I think a lot of software companies are doing that now. Um, and in some ways, I understand it like logistically, but it's difficult when you're the person who is buying it, right? So personally at home, I actually just have a license for the CS6 Design Premium Suite. Um, and so that has InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, Bridge, Dreamweaver. Um, it doesn't have any video stuff. So that's the only thing that I'm missing, really. I hadn't really been super keen on making a ton of videos before. Now I have more interest in it, and it is something that I'm learning, and I like to be learning. Um, so I don't know, but I mean the only choice for me at this point is to get a subscription. Um, so we'll see in the future if that makes sense. Because I don't do a lot of freelance design work anymore. Mostly I do the convention work. And there are a lot of graphics for that, but I don't really do a lot of videos. I try to outsource that as much as possible and focus on the things that I'm faster at doing. So that's how I. Okay, so it's about 11:30 now. Let me see if I can eat one of these biscuits. Nice and cheesy. Sorry about that. So, cheese biscuit. I know my lighting is a little bit weird, but it's my kitchen. So they're already really nice and buttery. And I love cheese. I don't know about you guys, but I love cheese. So anything with cheese in it, I'm usually pretty good. Is DaVinci Resolve something that's Mac compatible? Sometimes people suggest things to me that are only Windows and then I can't use them. I can put this recipe in the description later, by the way, for anybody who wants it. And it's pretty quick to make, even if you were to double or triple the batch. They're good with jam too. They're very similar to tea biscuits. A little bit crunchy on the outside. I'm sorry if you can hear that music. That's from the hallway. That's somebody waiting for the elevator. Sometimes people don't realize how much I can actually hear because I'm next to an elevator. It is what it is. And when the stream's later, I'm going to be on my desktop, which is a little bit farther from the door, so hopefully I won't hear stuff there. But I can't promise that the cat won't interrupt because Cleo is like that. Okay, thank you, Chris, for letting me know. I can maybe look into that. I mean, I am learning Kneading After Effects for work because we do have a subscription. But it's nice to have options at home. So I don't know how many of you are planning for the holidays yet. I did recently actually add shipping to the Pretty Heroes website for t-shirts. You can get this shirt, by the way. Every girl can be a hero. So we can ship things. The shirts are made by Chop Shop and they're shipped out from him. I send him a shipping label. And the other stuff, so the stickers and the coasters, which I still have to add to the website. I have the pictures on my camera card that I have to pull off so that I can add them. Pictures, the stickers, coasters, and the tote bags or be shipped from me directly. So Fusion is the equivalent of After Effects, I take it. That's kind of part of the problem is now I'm really used to the Adobe workflow. Although Premiere and After Effects seem to have like their own thing that's completely different from the other stuff. I find that a lot of the commands across InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator are very similar to each other. There's a couple of shortcuts that are different between InDesign and Illustrator that I find really annoying. And the way that you show and hide guides, it's completely different. In InDesign, it's W. Just make sure you don't have anything selected. It's kind of stupid. But in most of the other programs, like Photoshop and Illustrator, it's Command or Control semicolon. So I don't know why they made it different in InDesign. It's really weird. And to make it a letter when it's a layout program, so you're typing stuff all the time. So I don't know. But I do like InDesign. InDesign's a good layout program. It's pretty well-rounded. The only thing I don't like is that they don't have more features for making interactive PDFs that are built into InDesign itself. So you can make your fields, and there's certain settings that you can do with relation to your typeface choice and your font size, but you can't put in any commands, so you can't have any JavaScript calculations and stuff like that, which is kind of annoying because then you have to go and do that in Acrobat. And you can, but that becomes an issue when you update a file. So if you actually go to my portfolio website, you can see like a PDF that I did with calculations. And I'm not a programmer, by the way. I find stuff and I figure it out. So I find a beginning and then I tweak it and figure it out. But if you go to my portfolio website, which is emilygonzalez.com, then you can actually see that I have this PDF that I made years ago for Amico. for their SOT division, and it was for choosing um, flow meters, I think it was, and you would check off certain things, and then it would populate pieces of a part number. Um, and that was it was tricky to do, but I was really happy I was able to get it to work because it's really nice afterwards. It works well, and like you don't need an internet connection and stuff like that, so um, it's good that way too. But if I had to go make any changes, then I had to the layout. Then I had to make sure that I didn't overwrite the programming elements that were added, the scripts in the PDF file. And there is a way that you can do that. You can actually kind of replace the design in the same PDF, um, and then it will leave all the fields in the same place. And then if you need to move them, you move them. Um, but you have to remember to do that and not, save over your file with the scripts, or you're going to be very, very sad that you have to make them all over again. I'm also doing a lot with accessibility stuff now. Like the AODA guidelines are getting more and more strict. Um, so as far as I know, it's still going to be happening in January that websites that serve customers in Ontario, if they have at least 50 employees, the company website has to be AODA compliant. And what they're asking for is the WCAG 2.0 level AA, which you can look up if you're so curious and inclined to do so. And then that says all these different guidelines for how to make a website accessible. There's also some guidelines for print, but there's not as fleshed out. And I like to attend webinars and stuff to learn more about how to make things more accessible. Because we live in a world with diverse people, and everybody should be able to read things and consume content without it being completely inaccessible to them for something that's easy to fix. So having proper contrast and fonts that can be read by a screen reader and don't have flashes. I'm actually really surprised at how many things have flashing content still, when the rule is supposed to be that you don't have more than 3 flashes a second. Otherwise, somebody who is prone to seizures can't watch that content. And why do you need to have more than 3 flashes a second? I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me. So anytime I share something, whether it's on my personal channel or elsewhere, if there's flashes, then I put a warning, because they never seem to put warnings. Like on Netflix, they'll put warnings when you start watching something. They'll tell you if there's, like strobe effects and stuff like that, which I think is really good. But like trailers that you find on YouTube or wherever, they don't tend to put flash warnings, which I think is not great. I'm okay, but I know people who are not. And so I think that's kind of unfortunate, because then they can't even look at that content. So I don't know, but that's me. I'm going to be adding our Sailor Moon 25th anniversary shirt onto our website. I didn't have it on there because it's a more complex design, so it's a little bit pricier because it's more intensive for Chop Shop to make. But because it's now the 25th anniversary of um, Sailor Moon coming to English-speaking North America, I thought that people might be interested in getting that, and you can get the Fighting Evil by Moonlight, Winning Love by Daylight on the back if you like. There is an option for all of our shirts to do two-sided. I only list them as one-sided on the website, but if you want to do two-sided, then we can set you up with that too. So we can ship them to you, or if you just want to pick up at the convention in the future, that's fine too. I can do local distance pickups in Scarborough, and to a lesser degree in Richmond Hill. I don't go there super often, but I do have family up that way. So that is an option as well, but I don't do that a lot. The only thing is that if it's a shirt, you still had to pay for shipping because it's coming from Mississauga. So if you want a shirt in advance, that's kind of how you'd have to do it, unless you want to, go in on shipping with multiple people and do that. Yeah, 25 years is it's a while. So people think that I'm really, really young, and I'm not as young as most people think that I am. I started watching Sailor Moon in August of 1995, and I was 13 years old. So you can do the math and figure out how old I am now. Probably older than you thought. So but it's, I don't know, things get older, and I think it's nice that uh, that there's still a lot of fans for this franchise, and that it means a lot to people, and it connects people, and that's always the kind of thing that I find really heartwarming. That, and I think that really ties well into the character of Sailor Moon too. She's a very compassionate character, and that was one of the things I always found most admirable about her, was her level of compassion was just unparalleled. And there was this really nice message that that was against bullying, but it was very soft, and I remember in the R movie, they had like a flashback clip to Usagi talking to Mako, and Usagi was admiring Mako's lunch, and she's like, "Oh, this is so great! Oh my gosh, this is such wonderful food! Oh, this is so amazing! I want to eat it all." Because Usagi, and and then Mako was like, "Aren't you afraid of me like everybody else?" And then Usagi's like, "But why? Why would I be afraid?" and um and then it was really nice to go and see things like that, like that, uh, that Usagi was a person who didn't really listen to rumors, and she always decided to make up her own mind about how she felt about different people. And even when Luna was originally very suspicious of Ami-chan, Usagi was like, "I'm gonna go figure out what she's like. I'm gonna go figure out. I'm gonna go make friends with her." And Luna's like, "What? What? You don't know if this?" so, so that was amusing to me. I liked seeing those kinds of things, and I think there's different admirable qualities for each of the characters, and there's different relatable qualities too. They aren't all perfect, like they make mistakes and they bicker like sisters, and weird stuff happens. um, there's a lot of very conveniently located fights, though. Strange. But I don't think we can say that there's a lot of franchises that last this long and have this much of a fan base, because we've got fans all over the world who are really interested in Sailor Moon, and are still really keen fans too, and I think that's cool. I think it's interesting that it connects people that much. And I don't think you can say that about a ton of franchises. I mean, I'm also a Star Trek fan, so Star Trek is something that I've also liked for a very, very long time. I watched that when I was a kid with my family, my dad, my brother, my sister, my mom, and as we watch Next Generation every week, and that's how I ended up just kind of enjoying Star Trek pretty much forever. So Next Gen is always my favorite. I'm not big into original series. It doesn't really age well. Um, and so it's just a little bit off for me, but I appreciate what it, like what it started. And I mean, I also liked Voyager and Enterprise, to a lesser degree, Deep Space Nine. I did finally watch the whole thing when it was originally airing. I think the schedule kept changing towards the end. So around the time that Esri was introduced as a character, and then I kind of stopped watching. Um, and so I watched in like the last year. I rewatched Deep Space Nine, and I think it was the year before that I rewatched Next Generation, which holds up still pretty well. Like there's some clumsy writing in the beginning, um, but overall, it, it still is pretty relevant even to watch it today, and it doesn't look super dated either. Um, and I think that's hard to do. Um, so I think that's interesting. And of course I'm watching Picard and Discovery. I haven't watched the latest episodes of Discovery, so no spoilers. I think I'm still like one or two behind. I just caught up on Mandalorian last night, um, but I still have some Discovery to watch. And don't spoil everything. um, and I'm watching The Crown as well. I don't know how I got so fascinated with the series, so I'm still partway through the current season. Um, if you're gonna put spoilers, then at least put a disclaimer in your chat comments or or the page comment as well. um, Yes. So it's not, I don't think it's really too much of a spoiler. It's pretty minor, but they gave a name to the child, or the ones that we keep calling Baby Yoda, which I think is so silly. Like, how do we know it's not Yoda Jr.? But okay. Why did we go with Baby Yoda? Um, and I'm not a big Star Wars fan in general. Like I appreciate the franchise, but I always kind of I like the depth of Star Trek more. But yeah, it probably will forever be known as Baby Yoda, but it now has a name. So when you watch the latest episode, you'll find out the name. And it's probably not what you would think it would be. Of course, it's Star Wars, so they all have strange names, just random syllables thrown in there. Um, yeah, that's what I'm mostly watching recently. I haven't watched a lot of anime recently. Um, no, Baby Yoda Skywalker. No, no. It's a one name. Like Cher or Madonna. It's one name. It doesn't have a last name. And of course, Mando keeps calling him Kid, despite knowing the name. So there is a bit of that too. No, it does not start with Y. It starts with G. So you can go and find it out online. Um, I don't remember it off the top of my head because I watched it late last night now. Um, But it was a good episode. I've been enjoying that show. Um, I kind of like it more than what than some of the Star Wars movies. To be honest, I like. No, no, it doesn't rhyme with Yoda. um, so you guys can look up what the name is later. It's not that hard to find. Um, yeah, I think the most recent animes that I've been watching was Little Witch Academia, which is really cute. I think if you like things like Kiki's Delivery Service and Magical Girls, you'll probably like it. It's a little bit silly too, so that I think that appeals to Sailor Moon fans as well. Um, yeah, and a more recent one that I watched, but I watched a while ago, was Carol and Tuesday, and that's very different. And that's about two girls on Mars who decide to kind of start a band. Um, so they both sing, and then one of them plays piano, and and they kind of do like the American Idol version show on Mars. And I thought it was good, and the music was really good. They got professional singers to do the singing in that. Um, and it's not just Carol and Tuesday who sing. There's other groups as well, and they have different personalities, and some of them are really quirky. So that's kind of fun to watch too. But it's interesting to see, the idea of what an idol competition would be like on Mars in the future. Um, so yeah, I recommend that one. Yeah, yeah. So pretty much anyone can watch that one, I think. Um, I haven't watched a lot else really. I watch a lot of live action stuff. So and every now and then I go and I watch something that's kind of been out for a while, and then I'll just kind of marathon that. So I watched The Alienist recently. I thought that was interesting. But what weirded me out, because I also watch Murdoch Mysteries, and it's set around the same time period. And what weirded me out was that their language was too casual, in my opinion. And I was talking with a friend about this who also watches Murdoch, and they noticed it too, that their language should have been a little bit more formal. Like in Murdoch Mysteries, people who are of a certain class will speak more formally, and in The Alienist, they're all speaking very casually. And I was like, that's not how middle class and upper class would speak, though. Like lower class would speak very casually, but not middle and upper. I have not seen that one. Recreators. I haven't seen that one. I did watch A Ghost in the Shell recently. I think it's 2045 is what it's called. Ghost in the Shell's SAC 2045. And that one's 3D animated. It took a little bit for me to get used to Motoko looking so cutesy, because I was like, she looks too childlike. It's a little weird. But everyone looks kind of soft in that is just the kind of the style of the animation too. It was a good story though. And it's not like the story is being redone or anything like that. It's its own thing. Um, so if you liked Standalone Complex, you'll probably like it, but you don't necessarily have to watch that first. It's its own thing. Um, so yeah, I like the Ghost in the Shell stuff. Um, what else have I been watching? I've been watching the 100 a bit. I can't remember what season I'm on, and it just they keep kind of changing the way that the story goes, and I'm not as interested in anymore as I was in the beginning. I found the first few seasons were really good, and then they just started adding. You're like, oh, here's this other random group of people who also happen to be here. And I was like, what? How many times do you do this? um, So I haven't watched I haven't been marathoning that one for a while. Um, a while back, I watched both Timeless and Travelers, which are both time travel type shows. Um, but I thought they were both really good. Travelers is where they send their consciousnesses back in time into a host body, and then in Timeless they actually use a time machine. And Timeless, I think, is the only time travel show that I've seen where they actually acknowledge when it might be a problem for non-white people to go back in time to eras where there was a lot of racism that could make it precarious for them to be walking around. Uh, so, uh, um, so they start off with one pilot, and then they end up changing to another pilot of their time machine later, and then the newer pilot, he's black, and they end up having to go back to like I think it was like colonial America or something like that. So it was a time of slavery, right? And they're like, okay, we have to go back to this time and to do this thing and whatever. And he's like, what? This is not going to be awesome for me. I just thought it was really great that they actually acknowledge. I like almost no time travel shows acknowledge that, and they just act like it's never going to be a problem. And I'm like, are you sure? Um, One of the things that kind of bugs me with Outlander is that like main character, like she goes back in time and then but she acts like nothing has changed for her, and you know that she can still be really outspoken and bold, and she does this in a time period where you know like she'd get slapped or something. I'm like, this woman's really lucky that she hasn't been you know tied up to a stake more often, but yeah, I don't know, I like a variety of things, so yeah. All right. So it is it's just afternoon, and I think we have some other stuff that is starting. So I am going to end this stream now, and I will see you guys again at 1 p.m. for our interview with the Canadian Sailor Moon cast members. Okay, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Bye.